Welcome to part 4 of Competency 2. In this video, we will work with vectors using our TI-84. Number 1, for vector KL, point K is located at -2, 3, and point L is located at 1, 4. How is KL represented using the form AI plus BJ? This is linear algebra. If you haven't taken a course in linear algebra, I recommend that you make yourself familiar with the basics, okay? And because we all haven't seen linear algebra, I have a diagram explaining what we are looking at. And I'll work through this quickly. Connect what I have there. Okay. What they're asking is KL. See your dash line here? They want this vector that starts from K going up to L and ending at L. Okay. So that would be the vector that we need to focus on. All right. Now, how do we get this representation? Okay. In green, you see the values I have there. And it's created a right triangle. And this is what we're going to use. Okay, first off, I need you to understand that I coincides with whatever is parallel to the x-axis, and J coincides with the y-axis. All right, so what do? We start with our x or I, and we start with L. Okay, to make it seem logical. I mean, you've recognized this and you will in just a minute. This is what we're doing. We start with 1 and we say 1 minus whatever's at K minus 2, and that obviously will give us a 3. Then we go with 4, okay? 4 minus a positive 3 is 1. Now we have something to build with. 3 is what our x values were, so that coincides with our I. We have a positive 1 to coincide with our j, so we don't need to write the 1. We just write the j, and that is A. Okay, so then number 2 says, using question 1 above, what is the value of I? Now, this isn't absolute value. This means magnitude. The magnitude of the ray KL. Well, that's basically solving the Pythagorean theorem. Obviously, by looking at my diagram, you now understand what we're looking for. So, you're just going to pop it under a square root and say 3 squared plus 1 squared, and we can all see that that's a square root of 10. Okay? All right, now, there is a little trick in case the numbers get more complex, larger, and a little dicey, okay? So this is what we need to do. Now, if you watched other videos with me, you know what this is. But now, be careful. And I heed the warning because this is using what you have in complex numbers in order to solve for a vector. Vectors and complex numbers are not the same thing, okay? If you've had linear algebra, you know all this. Okay, so we're going to use math. Arrow over where it says complex. We need number 5. 5 is going to give us that magnitude, okay? Now, how do we translate this? All right, we're going to look at the answer for number 1. We use the I, but you cannot use the J because this is complex. So what do we do here? We say 3 second, and see the I where the point, the decimal point button is? Okay. Now we say plus 1, okay? And that's what is in front of RJ, oh, which I wrote wrong. I am so sorry. Let me erase this. Oh my gosh, I wrote two I's instead of a J. There, that helps. Okay, but what we need right now is to understand that that's a 1 without the J. Okay, because look at our calculator. We have no option for J. Okay, so let's push enter. Well, we get a decimal value, 3.16227766, which is very interesting. However, that's not what the value of number 2 is. Well, I tell you what, let's push squared. Let's square that answer. Look at what we get. We get 10. Our calculator solves it. It doesn't leave it in a square root, under the square root. Okay? All right, let's go to number 3. All right. For vector mn equals 4i plus 2j with its initial point of 0, 0, if vector point QP equals CI plus DJ has its initial point at 0, 0 and is opposite to vector MN, what are the values of CD? Oh my goodness. That just seems like crazy mind blowing. Don't let it do that. Okay, this is what we need to do. We need to use this as a point and this as a point, and our calculator is going to help us out. Okay, so these are points. So I need you to push stat, okay, and see we want to edit. So push enter. Okay, what do I have in my calculator? I'm going to clear everything out. So I'm going up to L2. I push clear, enter, clears it all out. Arrow over and up. You're now at L1. Push clear, enter, and you're good. Now let's begin by doing the MN point. Remember, 4 coincides with, because it's got the I behind it. That's your X. And 2 is with the J, so that's your Y. So I'm going to put in 4 and enter. I'm just going to go over so it's very clear what we're doing. And 2 and enter. Now my next point is the origin 0, 0. So I can go ahead and push 0 and enter, but I'm going to have to arrow back over and up. Oops, just over. And put another 0 and enter in. Okay, so now we've entered 2 points. Well, goody goody, but let's see what this does for us, okay? So second mode, and this is what I need you to do. I need you to turn on the stat point. So let's go second, y equals, and let's push enter. I want to just use number 1. Now I have it set up with a bright pink and the little squares instead of dots because they're bigger. So let's go with those, but let's turn it on. Now notice we're highlighted here with the dots, and this is what we want, okay? Now let's graph this. Oh, look at that. Now I have changed my formatting on my calculator. If you notice, I've got some coloring around the edge that's like a turquoisey, I suppose. And then I've got a blue axis there, and I've got the little grids. Well, your calculator may not have that. And it probably doesn't if you haven't played with it. So let's play with that. Okay, so let's go second, zoom. And notice above zoom it says format. So we're in formatting. And I've got the polar stuff on. I'm going to arrow over. Yeah, see, arrow back to it, push enter. Let's go with rectangular, not polar. Okay, because that's not what we're doing. We're doing the rectangular. All right, it's highlighted. I want my coordinates on. And I have got my grid lines on. See if you arrow over, I have it on. I have a medium gray. I could make it a darker gray, and I can go with light gray. I'm going to push enter and just go with light gray. Okay. I like to push enter to make sure it stays It's just a habit of mine. Now, the axis colors, arrow around, you can do whatever you want, make it a black. I went with the blue because that's just me. You pick whatever you want, okay? All right, now I've got the labeling on, okay? And that just tells me what my X is and what my Y is. You can turn it off. And then, see, that's right here. See, I've got it on right there, the labeling on. And this other here, don't worry about that. But let's talk about the border color. You can do a white. You can do what I've done here. I can go to white. And I like to push enter just because it's me. Just make sure it stays. Okay, now I have my background on a white. So let's push graph now. Notice it changed. And I don't like my grids. I don't know if you guys can see it on the video. So I'm going to go back second, zoom. I'm going to go down. Let's make that a nice, I had it on medium gray before. Let's go with a dark. Okay, now let's push graph. Ooh, very nice. That really lets you see the grid. And those are nice clear points and we see what we've got. Okay, now uh we can't necessarily show a ray, but I can show a line. Okay. And this is what I need you to know. What we're doing is it says, let's read what it says, an opposite vector. Opposite to. So you're going to go the opposite direction. Well, if we're going to make a ray, start here at 0 and go out through coordinate 1. And then we're going to go the opposite direction starting at the origin. It's going to go out through Q3, quadrant 3. So a line is going to help us actually. So let's turn it on our y equals. Okay, now if we're going to talk about rise over run, okay, or m value, or your slope, right, at from the origin. Well, our rise is the 2, and our run is 4, and that's rise over 1. Well, you reduce that, that's a half. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's do this. Let's go alpha y equals, and I'm going to turn on number 1, and I'm not even going to reduce it. Rise is our y value, so that's our 2. So we're saying 2 over 4 is our m, or our slope. Don't even worry about reducing. Now I'm going to put the x in to make a line. We're going through the origin, so there's no b value. So don't worry about that. So now let's graph. There we go. Look at that. So now if we think logically, and we're going to go opposite direction using that slope, we're literally going to go backwards. So that needs to be an x value of -4, and then -4, and then up. If you think about what we're really doing, we're going to go up +2 and over. So let's see, what would that really give us? We're really going negative. We're going -4, -2. I'm saying -4, -2. And that means, because look, if we start at the origin, to keep our slope, we need -4, -2. Well, that has to be D, solves it, but let's double check that. We can actually check our answer. So let's go stat, go back to edit, arrow down. I want -4. So -4, okay, push enter, go back up, and now I need a -2. If I'm correct, my dot will be right on the line that I created using the slope. Okay, graph it. There we go. We know now we have verified our answer and we even have a nice picture of it. Who knew? All right, let's go to number 4. Number 4, vector RS is equivalent to vector MN from question 3 above. If the terminal point RS is 1, -5, what is the initial point? I've drawn a diagram using GeoGebra Online so you can see what we're dealing with, okay? Now, in linear algebra, when something is equivalent, that means that it's parallel and it has the same slope. That's what they mean by question, the question above. So we're still using the 2 and the 4. Okay, so I've drawn in the green, giving you an idea of what we're looking at. Okay, so we want to keep the line that we've drawn from the prior question in our Y1, okay? But what we want to change, let me back out of this. I want to go to stats and edit. I want to put in the point that's given to us. Okay, I'm going to change my highlighter here. This is the point that's given to us. But if I use my slope like I have here, with 2 and 4, and you can draw that either direction. You could have gone down 2 and back over 4. However you want to view that, it doesn't matter, okay? Then you would get your point -3 or -3, -7. And that does give us this. Now, there's other ways to do this, but we have a calculator and you've got A, B, C, D options. And we can put those in the calculator and see what happens and see what is actually parallel with our line. You can even put all of them in. But I'm going to put in first our 1. I'm going to push enter. And then I'm going to put in our -3 and enter. Then I'm going to arrow over. Now I need to put in my -5. Because remember, that's a point, 1, -5. So my first point's in. Now to finish my second point, which is our C option, I need -7. Okay, and I push enter, and there you go. Now let's graph. And looks like to me, if we drew a line through that, that would be parallel. However, you can still keep going and add these others. I mean, why not test your theory while you're at it? Okay, so let's go down. And I'm going to use my arrows appropriately. Let's put in A. -3. Let's enter. But I'm going to bounce back over and put in 7. So I'm trying A. Let me go. I'm trying this guy. I did him first. I don't want him. But I'm going to prove. Let me push enter. Prove that he doesn't work. So now let's push graph. No, I'm not. See, that doesn't work at all. See, this is our 1 and -5 right here. Look at what this does for us. Ugh, nope, that's not good. Okay, so then let's go back to our edit and let's go down. Remember, it's that third point here. So that we could say 3, 3, but then they had actually right now what we have in the calculator 3, 7. Oh, let's go with that. That's D. Let's do that one because we already have it in. Okay, so let's push graph. No, that's not going to create a parallel situation. See that? That's not it at all. Okay, now let's go try B, this B that we didn't want. That's a -7. So let's push enter. Let's go down. That's a +3, but it's a -7. Enter. Of course, it's not going to be right. Okay, nope, definitely not. Wrong parallel situation. So that's not it. All right. So let's go back and I'm going to clear it out. Clear out that third point that we saw, that comparison. So now notice this is a time I want to talk about. If I push clear and enter, it doesn't help me. I actually have to use delete. Now, inside the cells is the only place that you can use delete, okay? Be careful using, I'm going to arrow. Oh, I got to push enter, then arrow over. Be careful using delete. You only want to use delete inside the cells. Never use delete on your L1, L2 highlighted, okay? I know I've mentioned that in other videos, and it sounds like I'm harping, but it will save you a lot of headache, which I've created for myself, unfortunately. Okay, let's go to number 5, now that we verified that 4 is correct. All right. Okay. For this one, what is the sum of negative I plus 6j? We're just adding those guys together, literally. Okay. It says sum, and that's what they mean. -1 minus 7 goes with I. Then we're going to add 6 plus 2 to get our j. And what does that give us? A minus 8i plus 8j. Bam, we're done. And that is A. Okay? All right, let's look at number 6. Given the vector KL equals 8i minus 14, write the vector that is parallel to to vector KL faces in the opposite direction. I was reading ahead, that's why I said negative, and has a magnitude of 2.5 times that of vector KL. Okay, now there's a couple ways we could do this. The first thing that we can do is just write it out. Okay, so that means when it says we have an opposite direction, that means we have an opposite magnitude. And we're going to go in the opposite direction with this increased magnitude of our given. Okay, so this means that we are literally going to be multiplying in almost like a distribution. Actually, it is a distribution. Okay, now if I could write, that'd be great. That is a very strange looking one. Let's fix that. Okay, so here we go. So there is a little trick to do this. All right, so let's go back in. What we can do is I'm going to highlight this. I'm not going to put J in the calculator. But when I do this, you're going to be able to interpret it and go, oh my gosh, it'll actually show you a distribution. So let's do this. Okay, so I have negative 2.5 parentheses 8, okay, 8i. So to get my I, I have second j, then minus 14. But I'm not typing in a j. Notice there's no j there to type in, okay? So now let's push enter and see what happens. Now look how it wants to flip it around. That doesn't matter. What you do have is your negative 20i. Go to your ABCD options, and lo and behold, we do have one taker, a negative 20i, with a positive 35j. Remember, I didn't type in the j. So that actually is the correct option. Okay, this is the last question in this video. I hope you learned some things. And once again, thank you so much for watching. And a big shout out to all our subscribers. You guys are the best. We have a lot of new ones. Welcome. And thank you for sharing and liking our videos. You guys are the best, and happy testing.